Going straight back into a battle against the Tomb Kings. Still, we are still fighting the skeletons, but we obviously have our own army coming in. That is actually quite heavily damaged, but this battle, thankfully, is in this case relying a lot of Jesus Christ, a lot on the trebuchets. Not so much on the infantry, even though the infantry will have its beating as well. But they are standing there, and they are holding, and you know, they're only skeletons. Skeletons are probably as bad as our guys, actually even worse, to be honest. But what the Tomb Kings have is still their own archers. Their own archers are very strong, but they disappear if you damage them enough, and that's pretty much what you do. And obviously here the peasant archers show their skill with their amazing range. Actually 160 range is one of the best ranges in the game, like next to the high elves with 170, no, that's the wood elves, and 180. Out of all the normal archers, they are surely probably the best. I believe do the Empire crossbows have 160 as well? I believe so, but that's probably like the only one. And yeah, we are going battle into battle here. They are short battles, or let me say I edited them short. They are... I just show them because it pretty much proves that, let me say, Bretonnian Infantry isn't the strongest, yeah? Because if you have to fight a battle twice because you're used to playing with good infantry, which was in this one the case, like they actually have a lot of monsters and chariots and all that stuff in this one, and I didn't expect them to be this strong. Like I know Tomb Kings monsters and chariots are strong, but I actually lost the first one. They all routed, obviously. They routed with half health or something, but I lost it on the first try. So I tried to use the edge of the map, and obviously with my reinforcements, this one was a little bit easier, especially if I'm directly at the side of the map. I don't like to play too cheesy usually. Like I like to use the map for my advantage, but if I go corner camping or stuff like that, I don't feel good. Let me say that. Yeah, that's why you probably often see me do things that could be played better, but I just don't do them because yeah, I don't cheese too much. By the way, we are going into what are they called? A quest battle? This one very much is played out for cavalry, because like the thing is, don't let the dwarfs die. I jumped over it because it wasn't interesting. It was just running in, killing everything, so I was like, yeah, who cares? Cut it out, it's boring. Same with this stuff here. I'm speeding the things a little bit up here because we have seen a lot of Tomb Kings and blah blah blah. So we are going against Khorne now. Khorne, we play infantry, the worst infantry in the game, against probably the strongest infantry in the world of the game. Like Khorne is like the incarnation of destruction on infantry level. So I touched him a little bit there, finding out wastelands are the worst attrition for Repens, or whatever this Bretonnian faction is called. I think it's the woman's name, no? Probably. And the replenishment in wastelands is absolutely devastating. Thankfully, later on I get the damsel, or however you call them, like yeah, exactly these ones. They have replenishment, so it helps a little bit. But let me say, I had to retreat off the land, which we should be able to see very soon. By the way, what you are seeing in the background is just me managing things that you don't often see in the background. And I just was like, yeah, come on, let's show this a little bit, like, so you, for those who care, can also see it. For those who don't care, they probably already jumped over it. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for the building part. Like, what I never achieved in this campaign, actually, which is kind of sad, is to get to the, how are they called? The anti-infantry infantry of the Bretonnians, that are probably the best infantry, and I didn't realize it for long because they have 80 armor. But I never got to them. Same for the poison archers. I think the poison archers were, I built them in the very late game, but I kind of just didn't get to it. I don't know what the issue was. Like, I focused on many other things, but not at units. Like, I was like, I have men-at-arms, I have halbs from the other factions and all that stuff, I'm fine, and that was probably a lie. I think with the anti-infantry guys, I especially against Khorne, I would have done a lot better. Speaking about Khorne, first Khorne battle. Now, if you ask me how many attempts was this, 4. This was 4th. And the only thing I did different was focus fire of my bowmen and changing the reinforcement place of the second army. Yeah, so here focusing on the Chaos Furies, obviously they are like devastating. If you look at my men, oh, and by the way, Jesus Christ, Scarbrand doing rampage on my units, that's probably the worst thing that can happen. I was so lost that I had to stop the game. That was my, as I said, this was my 4th attempt, and I was crying inside. Yeah, rampage is terrible. The general damage output of Khorne is terrible, and honestly, I don't know how I won this. I have no idea. Like, that's my reinforcements. A lot of the, what are they called? Pilgrim, Holy Grail pilgrims, infantrymen. They have decent stats. Terrible armor, once again. Armor is the most important one, if you ask me. And they kind of saved the day. I also focus fired with my archers. Not yet, I believe. Very soon. On Scarbrand. Probably at this point, took me a while, yeah. I realized that Scarbrand is the biggest threat in this army. Usually he's not, like, yeah, he's terrible, but usually he doesn't hurt that much because your own infantry or whatever you have is capable of beating the other infantry of Khorne. But in this case, like he was my biggest enemy, because Rampage makes all my units, yeah, pretty much allows all my units to get the flank attacked and all that stuff. Another thing I did that was very lost, but I mean I had nothing else to do. I casted a lot of spells on Khorne with like 40% spell resistance, probably even 55 on certain units. But you know, it's damage is damage, right? And if your army, if 2 armies look like this after battle against 1 army, and Scarbrand, probably Scarbrand alone is already an army, it's crazy. Like, if you look at the end screen that's about to come, I have no words. Like, yeah, no, I don't have words, no, it's crazy. Unfortunately, Boss wasn't in this army, so she would probably have turned the tide quite a little bit with her power, but she didn't, yeah. I lost, like, what did I lose? Like 1.8k. Yeah, it's terrible. By the way, jumping next battle, I have very crazy cuttings here and there, especially if I fight battle after battle, but all the in-between is not interesting, like nobody cares. And this is the herd army from before that just fought the other army, and I have a great map here to work with. And Scarbrand is back. This is probably like 2 or 3 turns later. and he already has a full army, obviously, with Chaos Knights and everything, and I stacked my units hard. By the way, there's a second army coming in again, and it's massively needed against an AI Khorne army. Like, another problem, obviously, that I have is that I don't have a real damage spellcaster. A little bit my fault, but at the same time, against Khorne, they are not as useful. Yeah, I have a health heal Jade. What are they called? Jade heal? Whatever. She heals, and I just used whatever I could there. I would have preferred Heaven here. I think Heaven is coming in as well in this one. I believe Heaven. I don't know. We see. And Heaven is a lot better because it influences the enemy troops with the debuffs, and the debuffs are not getting weakened by the spell resistance. So that's a great bonus. And of course I kill Scarbrand again with my 5 archers that I have. That's very important. Oh yeah, it's Repense with her army and trebuchets. Like the trebuchets, if I would have known how needed they are, I would have focused more on them. Like, they are so strong. Yeah. By the way, I just saw my Heaven Mage wasn't even able to cast the damage reduction spell, like the melee attack reduction spell. That's amazing. Like, never underestimate debuffs or buffs for your army, especially if they have area of effect bonuses. Area of effect spells. Sometimes overcasted, sometimes not. The not overcasted ones are better. And Heaven has a not overcasted area of effect debuff for enemies that they have 24 less melee attack. And don't underestimate that. You can do a ton with that. Like, if you weaken one front with that, probably your weaker one, if you have one, they do as good as your better side and all that stuff. That's crazy. I've never underestimated. A lot of people always cast damage spells, yeah. But let's be honest, depending on what you play, damage spells are not better. Like, if you have a weak front and you know that's the only case you lose if that one breaks in, damage won't help you, because damage only hurts the enemy, but it doesn't stop him from killing you. Curse of the Midnight Wind is, by the way, that one spell I was talking about. And this one, the dwarfs were after Scarbrand as well. So I was like, okay, Scarbrand is pretty much done if they even have the dwarfs on him. So I jumped to the next battle. Scarbrand again, by the way, I believe. Was it Scarbrand? Yeah. And this battle was spicier than the last one. Not spicier than the first one, but spicier than the last one. I forgot a few units. Pretty much the right side that you will see soon. I forgot them a very long time. They would have been a perfect flank, and I completely forgot them. These guys, by the way, yeah. And it was terrifying. And the trebuchets, by the way, like, as much as they are useful when blobs form, sometimes they really are shit. Like, in this battle, they did barely anything. I don't know if it was because they were shooting uphill or something, but they were terrible. And I used the Heaven, by the way, Heaven spell of the Midnight Wind a lot in this battle, if you look at it. And as much as I believe that it changed a lot, it probably only bought me time for the other side. And my reinforcements. Do I get reinforcements? Yeah, I get reinforcements in that one, right? Do I? I don't think so, no. I think I won that on the very last edge. Like, that was a terrible fight. Oh yeah, I had 2 heroes coming in, right? That were like 3/4 damaged already. Like, heroes are sometimes useful. Sometimes they act as a sponge for damage. That's pretty much what they did here as well. And some might say it's a little bit cheesy to use that many heroes. And lords, actually, because they are reinforcing. And they are probably slightly right. But they synergize so well with peasants because they give bonuses to the leadership. And by the way, this is a battle of a settlement of a rebels. And they had only Chaos Furies, and I did something very smart here, if I can say that to myself. I put the peasant mobs behind my archers so that any flanking furies can get shredded by them. I say shredded, pretty much just get the... How do you say? You know, they get stabbed a little bit with a few forks and stuff, but it helped. Like, the furies actually die quick, even against peasant mobs, because flanking maneuvers give you like a ton of bonus to attack. So that worked very well, very much to my surprise. And that's pretty much a rebellion dealt with. And that's the last fight that I took with the auto, with the auto resolve. Yeah, Khorne, definitely terrible to fight against with only infantry of Bretonnia. I am thinking, I fought Khorne with Tomb Kings before, obviously normal gameplay, but usually Tomb Kings are not as good either, because you know they also have like terrible infantry and stuff. But just, I think a few units. Yeah, that's the foot squires. I was thinking here about the foot squires with the great armor, by the way, which is crazy. I was just clicking through the infantry to see what they can do. That's a little end screen. Khorne, where was I? Yeah, Tomb Kings have a lot. Like Tomb Kings still, after all, have something that is a lot better than Bretonnia. Not necessarily the direct infantry, but just the little bit of constructs and the little bit of archers that are pretty good because they have the numbers. Does so much to them. Yeah, Bretonnia. What is what can I say to Bretonnia? No, don't play infantry, and if you play them, only foot squires. That's all I say. Foot squires and halberds. That's the only thing you can use, and that's pretty much the end of infantry only Bretonnia. So thanks for watching, and we see us in a very interesting next challenge. So stay tuned. Bye.